Okay. Hey, welcome, everyone. I am Rena Yudkowsky, geriatric social worker and memory coach. Most of you know me already, and I am really excited. We have a very special guest with us today. Oran, Aviv, also lives in Israel. We're both in Israel. I know we'll probably have people here from all over the world. And we're going to give everyone a minute to hop on Facebook. 1 second. Why is someone trying to call me? We're going to close that. Hold on. Sorry. It's distracting when people try calling me while I'm on Zoom. Okay. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you are live, please put #live in the comments so we know you're here. If you are watching the replay afterwards, please write #replay in the comments so that we know that you're watching the replay. So the topic today is a very, very, very important, popular, and relevant one, I would say, for all of us. We are going to talk about stress and memory, how stress affects our memory. So we decided that we were going to start with some real, authentic, genuine stress. So I just sat in the car for an hour in traffic trying to get back here for this live. And I left myself an hour and a half to go, which should take between 30 and 45 minutes. And literally walked in like 5 minutes before, no, less than 5 minutes before I wanted to hop on early with Oran. So that was stressful, but I kept talking myself through it. I kept deep breathing, and thank God we got home in time. And Oran said, if I would have known that reflexology point that she's going to teach us today, it would have helped. So let's do it. We need some tools here. So first of all, welcome, Oran. Thank you so much for joining us today. And just tell us a little bit about how you got into working with hands-on dementia, what it is. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me. This is exciting. I'll say probably a little stressful because the first time I'm doing a live Zoom on Facebook.
Just pretend you're talking just to me.
I'm just talking to you. I have been a reflexologist for 25 years. For those of you who don't know what reflexology is, it's a method of pressing points on the hands and on the feet that can simply make a person feel better. It was modern day reflexology began actually by an ear, nose, and throat doctor who found that by pressing those points, he could relieve pain or stop pain altogether. And he would actually do minor surgery without anesthesia in his office using those points on the hands and feet. And from that developed. I have about 12 years ago, I started working with people who have dementia. And as I ended up finding that using hand reflexology was much better than trying to tell somebody who has difficulty understanding why I want them to suddenly take off their shoes and socks, whereas the hand is something that we do all the time. We touch somebody's hands, we shake somebody's hands. And I developed a method of using very few points so that I could teach caregivers and staff at senior facilities so that they can use very simple method of hand reflexology to help people who have dementia. We find that it makes them feel more secure, makes them feel more safe, helps calm them. And over the time, I found another method, which is called validation, which is a way of communicating with people, which was sort of the missing link I needed in the work I did, because when I sit down and start doing reflexology, people opened up, some started crying, some emotions came up, which is normal in reflexology, but I felt I needed to know how to talk to them. And that's when I discovered validation, which was founded by Nomi File.
Yep.
And what I didn't know.
Well, I'm familiar with that.
Reflexology course, my first validation course, that I was going to continue with that for 6 years and become one of the first validation teachers in Israel. Mm-hmm. So I use both those methods together. So today, hands-on dementia is basically both those methods together, communicating and using touch. We teach each one separately and together.
I love the combination. You took two very therapeutic modalities, and the combination together is powerful.
It's needed. Can't, I don't think anybody, even if people are using different kind of methods to work with somebody who has dementia, you have to know how to communicate. Yeah. Otherwise, you need to be there. You need to be able to connect on a different level than just verbal for a lot of people who aren't able to express themselves already.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Okay, so let's talk about what does stress do to the memory? Does stress cause cognitive decline? And if it does, how can we prevent that, stop it, treat it? Give us all the good stuff.
Okay. I think all of us have been, and it happened to me today, actually. I was running out of the house quickly, and only when I was already halfway to where I need to go to, I realized I'd forgotten my phone.
Yep. Happens to
And
most
we've
of us.
been in that situation when we're in a rush to get out is exactly when we can't find our keys, we can't find our phone, we can't find all the things we needed, that shopping list. And that's there's a reason behind that. Hold on, let me just turn off my phone here for somebody.
And everyone blames their memory on when that happens. Everyone blames their memory, but you're going to explain really what it is.
Okay. So when we are under stress, our body has a very interesting way to deal with the situation. It's called fight or flight or fight. And if you're walking down the street and suddenly a big dog jumps up at you, what are we going to do? We're going to try to protect ourselves. And the way we protect ourselves is either to run away as quickly as we can to safety, or to fight whatever it is that might be causing us harm. And in order for our body, what it does, our amazing body does, is at that same moment, it wants all the blood to run to our arms and to our legs so that we have strength. You may have even heard stories about mothers who suddenly the child was hit by a car and she can suddenly has this incredible strength to pick up the car. That's all part of what our body does at that moment. Now, in order to do that, it starts to shut down different systems in the body. Digestive system, as anybody has ever been under a stressful situation, you normally don't want to eat. Your stomach closes up and you don't want to eat. I mean, this is a response from the time of the cavemen. So they say, if a saber-toothed tiger is about to attack you and eat you, you don't want to eat a sandwich at that moment.
Right.
Other systems, our immune system doesn't work as well because we don't need at that moment to worry about some virus or some bacteria that might affect us 3 weeks from now. We need now to save ourselves. And our neurological system also shuts down. If you've ever been in that situation that you studied for a test from morning to night, you knew everything well, the test comes and you go blank.
Please.
You go totally blank. Or I've been on the stage, you have to give a lecture, or I've been in a dance, I used to dance, and suddenly I'm on stage, I don't remember anything. That's just our system, that system not working well because of the stress. All we really need to do at that moment is realize that, take a breath, and everything will come back. We haven't lost what's in our memory, we just have lost that connection to get to it. So those are the ways that it really can affect our memory. But it can also, what I've seen with people with dementia is if you already have cognitive decline and on that you add the stress, then you got a double whammy. And a lot of times, our problem with dementia is a lot of times people think all the time of just that it's the illness causing it, but it may be other things that are stressful that are causing that situation. We can see it a lot in people who have dementia, who have cognitive decline. They normally wake up in the morning and they're much more clearer. They know much more what's going on. But as the day progresses and they're tired out, because to try to stay in focus is very, very difficult. And then we have what's called sundowning. Late in the afternoon, people get cranky, they get anxious. And I think that's just from the stress over the day. But if you find somebody who is feeling good without stress, a lot of times their cognitive words, everything is much, much clearer. I don't know if anybody saw, there was a 60-minute tape of Tony Bennett where they gave his farewell performance. Those of you who don't know, Tony Bennett has dementia, and he had been doing really well all the time because he was performing at a place where he felt comfortable. But during COVID and lockdown, he stopped performing and he declined very quickly. And they wanted to have a goodbye performance for him because they didn't want it to end this incredible career of this man. So they put together, and even though he had difficulty, once the music came on and he felt comfortable, he started singing. He not only knew all the words, he started improvising.
Wow.
And they had the show for him, and Lady Gaga, who he's performed with, came on the show. And the lights came up and he was smiling and he felt in the place where he felt good. And that was without the stress. Lady Gaga's there, and he says, and ladies and gentlemen, Lady Gaga. And she couldn't go on stage for a moment because for a year he hadn't known her name. But at that moment, when he didn't have stress, when he felt in the best place, he said Lady Gaga, and she started crying, and she had to take all her strength to get on stage and perform. But just seeing what happens when we get rid of the stress and a person feels comfortable, how much of what we think is a dementia may just be the stress that they're under.
This is such an important understanding for people that are caregivers. We probably have some people listening, or will listen also to the replay, that are caregivers. And this point that you just said is so important, because if we understand that, then we know exactly how to help what we call difficult behaviors, which is just a person with dementia under a lot of stress, right? And it looks to us as difficult behavior, but that's what it is. So if we just understand what that person with dementia is feeling stressed, then we can help them calm down, breathe. We can be patient with them, which is what they need to ride out that stressful moment. The problem is that when we as caregivers, whether it's family or professional, when we get stressed and we don't know what to do, then we're really in a pickle.
I can actually, I can give you an example of how it can help. I had a here in Israel, in Ra'anana was a independent living place where there was a man from, I think he was from Boston, and after his wife passed away, he was about 85, I think. After his wife passed away, he decided, instead of going to a home near where he lived, he decided to move to Israel to be in an independent living facility, because his son lived here and his brother lived here, and he thought it would make more sense for him to be near his family than to stay by himself in a home. It was all set up. His daughter came with him here to help him. And when he got here, he had very slight cognitive decline, I'd say normal aging, memory loss. When he came here, he totally lost it. He became depressed. He cried, and the facility told his daughter, "I'm sorry, he cannot live here independently." And by chance, his daughter had come to a lecture that I'd given at this facility, and we decided, I came at the time and I started giving him reflexology. Within 2 weeks, this man came back to say himself. He was able to go into the facility, and he lived for several more years and flourished there.
Wow.
But just to see, in how many other cases people would have said, "Oh, the move probably did it." And yes, the change can be difficult. I know people who didn't have cognitive decline came to a new facility and cried for 2 weeks straight. It's stressful. Any change and an older age is very difficult. So it is really important to always check that it may be the stress that's causing the change. Don't just accept it as the illness, the disease, the progression of the disease. It could be stress. It could be changes in medication. Always check, put on your, investigating hat, and check what could be the reason, and don't just blame dementia as the reason.
Yeah. That's great advice. And also I want to add something about chronic exposure to stress, like over life, not just like right now I feel stressed, but chronic exposure to stress actually shrinks our hippocampus. The hippocampus is the part of the brain that's in charge of learning and memory. So that hippocampus is going to shrivel up if we had too much exposure to stress over many years. We do not want our hippocampus shrinking. We want that growing, actually. And there are a lot of ways we can help it grow, but stress shrinks it. So that's another reason that we really want to learn to do whatever we can, even as we age, even if we're younger, to handle stress well, to deal with stress, and to use maybe the technique that you're going to teach us soon. We can use at any age, right?
Sure. If we go back to that fight or flight, if we are in constant stress, then all those symptoms we talk about, digestive, neurological, what else I mentioned there? I'm under stress now.
Digestion, immune system, neurological.
All those systems are not going to be working as they should if we're constantly under stress, because our body is thinking, okay, I got to keep that blood running to the arms and legs, and I'm not letting those other systems work. So that's all together. We want to get rid of the stress. Easier
as much as possible.
But we want to learn to reduce the stress.
Right. We live, we'll just mention, we live in stressful times. I mean, most of us have had the past 2 years have made even the calm people around have made, the past 2 years have made most of us pretty anxious, even if you were calm. But just by the virtue of the pandemic we just lived through, it was quite anxiety producing.
And what's going on now with the war is,
and the war on top of it. And last year we had a war here in Israel with COVID. Remember, it was like Shavuos time. So we are constantly being bombarded by stress. So it's up to us to figure out what to do with it, because we can't always get rid of it. We can't get rid of the pandemic. We can't get rid of the war. What we can control is how we react to it, and how our bodies feel, like what our bodies feel when we look at the news, which, by the way, don't. I just stop. I don't need to know, I remember, every day everyone would talk about how many people are sick with corona. And at some point I said, why do I need to know the number of people? That doesn't help me. It doesn't help me get through my day. It doesn't even create empathy. I could pray for them. I can check in on people, the older people that are isolated. But to know the numbers does not help me at all. So the news was not helping anyone's stress level. So I just at one point said, that's it. I'm done. I'm not listening to any news.
It's true. It's really true. It's not the stress, it's how we react to the stress.
Yeah.
And that's, you can have two people in the exact same situation, and one will kind of flow with it, and one will be in such stress that they can't function.
And the difference is what happens up here. And that impacts the way the entire neurological system responds, right?
Yes.
So what can we do? What can we do when we find ourselves in a situation where we're stressed or overwhelmed? And
I think what's important is, when you're in the middle of a very stressful situation, it's much harder to try to calm yourself. First of all, you want to catch it before, and you want to practice as much as you can when you aren't in that situation. Because if you start to learn how to focus and get yourself to a state of more relaxation, then it's easier for you to do it when it starts. But don't try to start this when you are on your most stressed, because it probably won't work. It's sort of like, I always say, like, the worst thing you can tell somebody who's really stressed is to say, calm down. It's like you're going to slap them in the face, right? That's not the time that you start to do it. That's also not the time, if somebody is very anxious, is not the time I'm going to come and say, give me your hand. I'm going to do some hand reflexology, because they'll probably, slap me.
Right.
So we want to always try to catch it before it starts. And if you get used to that you notice yourself, and maybe there's some signs you notice that maybe you start eating a lot, starting going to the fridge, opening up things are causing, try to catch yourself before that. It's much easier than when you're in a blown out state of anxiety. So one of them is breathing. Is really important. There are a lot of different ways you can do that, but one of the things I find when I'm finding myself start is I learned from somebody to just really slow down at that moment, force myself to slow down. Like if I'm, that's like the time that I'll be in the kitchen, I'll probably cut myself because I'm trying to chop up too quick, just try to take it really, really slow, go into I call it Tai Chi mode, where you go really slow, or the, just slow motion. And just start to do everything really, really slowly. That automatically gets your breathing to go slower. So that's one of the tricks I try to use sometimes when I catch myself. I'll show you one of the reflexology points that I find really helpful. And then I can show you together with breathing as something that you can try to learn to do to help yourself.
Great.
Is that good? Any questions?
Yeah.
Are there any questions out there at
Before we move on to that, any questions so far? I'm going to check the Facebook. Hold on. I'm going to hop into, I have Facebook open on a different window. Okay. No questions. Let's go on. And then if anyone does have questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll keep checking it.
Okay. So the point that I want to teach you today on the hand is a point that's called the solar plexus. Now, the solar plexus is not really an organ or a place in the body, but it's an energy center, and it's the place that's right under our rib cage. Now, you know that place. That's a place that if somebody hits you there, it's all the nerves are there. It's all our main nerves are there. The vagus nerve is there, and that's the area that's very, very sensitive. And that area is also a very calming area that we use a lot in reflexology. So I want to show you how to find that on your own hand. I think you can see me here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a line from our ring finger and our middle finger, and we're going to just slide it down on this area, which is very fleshy. And as you slide it down, it's going to kind of fall down into an area. It falls down into sort of, you can feel it. We do not read lines in reflexology. Do not look at the lines. Try to feel it. Like you just take your fingers and you can feel where the fleshy area ends. So you're going to slide down and you're going to feel that area where it ends. And we're going to put our thumb there. Okay. And we don't even need to press. We just need to hold our hand there. Now I'm holding it here so you can see it, but you can just have it relax on your lap. Okay. Okay, so just let your hand drop or just leave our thumb there, drop. And we're going to take, as we do that, holding our thumb on there, we're just going to take a good breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. And as we do that breath out through our mouth, we want to feel that all the heaviness in our body falls straight into the chair, or if you're standing, into the floor. Let's try that again. You're having your hand on that solar plexus. You take a breath in through your nose and let all the air hard out through your mouth. And again, in. And let it all, everything that happened today just come out. You can close your eyes as you do this. Breathe in. Fill up your lungs and let everything out. Okay. Now you can do that for as long as you have time for, and it's good to switch over to the other hand. I'll show you another way to find the solar plexus. I hope you can see this on the TV. But if you cup your hand, and you see all the lines coming in, it kind of looks like a little sun. So we call it solar. And that's kind of neat. It's solar plexus because you have all the nerves come into also looking like a sun there, what it looks like. So if you look on your hand, look into your hand, as you cup it, you'll see where all the lines come in, makes a little hole. And that's also another way to find your solar plexus. So you're going to put your thumb there, relax the hand. And again, the other hand, let your hand relax on your lap. You don't want to, you want your shoulders to be relaxed. Let them just fall. And again, we're going to take a breath in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. And again, in through your nose. Let everything that happened today just come out through your mouth. And one more time, in and out. Now, if you start to do that at least once a day or a couple times during the day, and it's really, you only have time to do it one time, do it one time. But if you start to do that, you might be surprised at what you start to hear during the time. I always call it, suddenly there are birds. Wow, there are birds outside. I didn't hear those before. But when we suddenly stop everything we're doing and just kind of take a moment to be here at that moment, then you can start hearing the sounds. I have a wonderful meditation teacher who talked about the symphony of now when you meditate. Just listen to all the sounds. It may be the ticking of the clock. It may be my dog breathing here on the ground, on the floor next to me. It might be the birds outside, but that's a one-time symphony. It's never going to be the same. So just take a moment and listen to the sounds around you and enjoy the symphony, your personal symphony, just for now. And that might help you bring down, I hope, a little bit of the pressure.
That's great. So how long, we can just do it for like a minute or two? How long do we do it for?
You can do it one time, 3 times, whatever you have time for.
Okay.
You know, I think most people when they're stressed, the problem is that they don't have a lot of time. So this is something that you can do very quickly. You know, you can do it just for a moment. I put the kettle on while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil. I can do that when I'm waiting for the end of the washing machine. You find those places to just take a breath. We don't breathe enough. We really don't breathe enough. And it's kind of important to breathe. I've learned that kind of keeps you alive sometimes.
I always say we forget to breathe, but breathing will help our memory.
Yes.
But we forget to breathe. That's great. Wait, so how does that work? Is that just a point that helps calm the whole system down?
Yeah, it's a point. It's the solar plexus, and it's also on the reflex of the diaphragm line, so it helps us breathe more. But you really don't need to press hard. You could just hold that. And you can do it on somebody else too. Once you feel comfortable doing that on your own hand, then you can just take somebody's hand, say hello, and just put that point. That can be very, very calming. Again, not when somebody's in the middle of a full-blown anxiety attack. You do not want to do that. You probably want to keep your distance, but it's a good way. But it really takes practice because, look, our bodies want to heal ourselves. We don't want to be in a state of stress, but we fall into that state where we're used to that. That becomes our normal. And what we basically have to do, and that's one of the things we do with reflexology. Don't tell anybody, the real secret of reflexology is that it calms and relaxes, and then the body can heal itself. That's the real That's really the real secret, besides that we're working different points, that we can work different organs and different tissue, but it causes a really deep relaxation. And then the body does what it wants to do. What it knows how to do best is heal itself. So with reflexology, we're doing is we're teaching people to get back to that state. Because a lot of times after a session, somebody will say, oh, wow, I didn't realize how stressed I was. Because we suddenly bring them back to a different state. And we can all do that, but it takes practice.
Amazing. Wow, that's so helpful. So when you do this on someone with dementia, what do you see? What results do you see?
As I told it's calming.
Yeah.
It allows people to feel safe and secure. I mean, dementia is a very difficult situation. And especially when people don't understand what's going on, it's very scary. You suddenly can't understand what's going on. People don't understand you. And through touch, by just holding on to a person, you're giving them a sense of security and feeling well, because even when we don't have verbal communication, we still have the touch. The person knows that you're there and that you care. So that's a very calming effect. We've seen it allow people to have better sleep, which is huge, because when you sleep well, your body is able to heal itself more.
Oh, yeah.
But imagine what we feel like when we don't sleep enough. When we don't have enough sleep at night, we're really grouchy. We also have memory loss. It's very hard to remember. Try focusing after you haven't slept very well at night. And the person feels better when they have more sleep. And the caregiver, imagine, we have people that suddenly, instead of sleeping 6 hours, are now sleeping 7 or 8 hours. Now imagine a caregiver who suddenly has an extra 2 hours, or to herself or himself, or to be able to talk to their families. It's a huge difference.
That is more very significant. So you're saying just from reflexology, people with dementia can sleep better, have better sleep?
We've seen that, yeah. We've also seen a reduction in nursing homes. We've seen a reduction of medication for pain.
Oh, wow. That's also very significant.
We've seen better movement. People with Parkinson's are able to have better movement. I had one person with Parkinson's. This was just this is working with people with Parkinson's, who said that he felt like a rag doll. And now that's huge, because Parkinson's is a very locking up of all the joints. And to feel relaxed, it was an incredible result.
Wow.
We've had one of the most important things is, again, I spoke about coming to a new facility, is we really recommend that a new facility, somebody comes in to give them just a couple minutes of hands-on dementia every day. And then they feel it's much easier for them to adapt to the place. We've seen somebody who was just sitting in the corner, and once somebody started working with her, taking her hands, she started talking much more. She opened up because she felt comfortable.
So one of the questions which you sort of just answered is, someone said, does this help pain in my body? I have fibromyalgia. Have you ever worked with that?
Fibromyalgia, you have to work very, very slowly and carefully. Like, I've worked with people with fibromyalgia that working on their feet was just too painful. So I worked very short sessions on their hand till they got used to it. But you have to go very, very gently. I would also just check, just the person with fibromyalgia, to also check for Candida. I have one of my Chinese medicine doctors has discovered the link between Candida, and that's just something you might want to check.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow.
We're not going to get into that. That's a different area, and it's not my area, but I felt you might want to check that. But I can't help relax. Look, if you're having an illness that is so stressful, and I just had somebody here today who's suffering from sciatica pain. Now, sciatica pain is very painful, but the pain causes us to contract, which causes more pain, which causes more contract. We get into the situation where we don't know what is the pain level and what is the stress that's causing it. And that's the secret of reflexology. Is by reflexology, it reduces some of that stress-induced pain. And the person is like, oh, wow, if after 45 minutes, I'm feeling better, then maybe I'm not having this horrible illness that's going to make me make me an invalid for the rest of my life. It's suddenly, oh, well, this is something that might pass, and that stress. And then again, the body starts healing itself. Wow. So it can definitely help, but it's worth trying. There are reflexologists, by the way, all over the world. Just look up, but I just suggest finding a reflexologist through the organization. There's reflexologies, the reflexologist organization in England, in the States. Go through there to get a recommendation of somebody who's been certified.
Great. Another quick question. Name of the meditation, Symphony of Now. You mentioned. What's the name of the meditation? Is it called Symphony of Now?
No, it's just,
No.
I have my meditation
Okay,
teacher.
it's nothing, it doesn't have
But
specific.
I do have one of my blogs. I talk about that, about how to meditate. So maybe we'll I can put it up on the walk up. I can put up that blog. And you
Okay,
can come follow me. I got lots of blogs. You can come see on subjects besides dementia and on health
wait, hold on,
and how to prevent dementia.
I'm trying to answer her question. It says, what is Candida? Candida is like yeast, right?
It's a yeast infection.
Yeah, it's a yeast infection.
But it's when there's a lot of it, it kind of, just look it up. You can look up in Google, and I'll be happy to send some more information.
Okay, amazing. We have 10 people on with us. If anyone has any other questions, please put them in the chat. Now, I want to ask you, can you tell us about your brand new website? And how can people reach you? And tell us about, I think you said something about a webinar, a workshop you have going on that we want to hear about.
Okay, we're really, really excited. We just launched our brand new website and it's Hands on Dementia. It's
beautiful. I saw it.
It's hands-on-dementia.com. There is another Hands on Dementia popped up. I don't know. I've been using Hands on Dementia for the last like 10 years. And during COVID, apparently somebody in Germany opened up a company called Hands on Dementia. So if it's written in German about a simulation, that's not me.
It's
hands-on-dementia, one word.com.
Okay, I'm putting it in the chat right now so people have it.
Okay. And we have there, you can look in there, we have free videos with a lot of hand reflexology for vertigo, how to use hand reflexology for backache, how to stop hiccups with hand reflexology. And we have blogs, they have blogs on topics that have to do with understanding dementia, how to prevent dementia, talk a lot about nutrition or the different things that we can do. And we're offering free webinars. We had our first free webinar last week. We have a next webinar about on the 23rd, I think, the 23rd of March. It's for free, but you need to go into the site and sign up for it, and then you'll get the Zoom link. The next one is going to be about what to do about aggressive behavior.
Would you post that in my group?
Yeah, I can write all that.
It's still a while away. So maybe next week you could post it in my group so people could see it.
Sure. We have a lot of blogs. Check out the blogs. There's a lot of information in there. We've got, I think, already about 35 blogs up on different topics that have to do with health and dementia. Wow. I think, again, the most important is really understanding. I mean, I think one of the main problems of somebody having difficulty living with dementia is that us as society don't know how to deal with them.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other changes that happen. If we were more aware that if somebody looks lost, we were there to help them, then a lot more people would be able to stay independent a lot longer with dementia.
Yes.
But we have to learn to not look at dementia just at the end, horrible picture of somebody, looking up into the nothingness. That's end stage, but there's a beginning stage, and there's a lot more. And there are many people today who are living fulfilling lives with dementia. I'm reading now a book by an incredible woman named Wendy Mitchell, who talks about her experience and how she has learned to outwit dementia. She's found the ways to outwit it. She's incredible. That's
great. That's great.
So, don't let the word dementia scare you, learn about it and see how you can help other people, please.
Fantastic. Is there anything that we didn't say that you wanted to say? Did we skip anything? Was there anything?
No, I think we got most of it.
Did we? Okay. I'm going to check the chat again for any questions. And then I have something I want to say too. Do you charge for this? I think she means the webinar.
No, the webinars are free. We're offering free webinars. We also hope, we only launched the website last week. We hope to also start offering workshops. We want to do workshops that we will be teaching validation. The Validation Institute is based in the United States. And for a lot of people on this side of the globe, sometimes the classes are at 3 a.m. for us. So at our webinar, we have people from South Africa, from Israel, from Costa Rica, actually, and from some people in the States from the East Coast. So we're trying to offer a way of having teaching validation to those who are interested. Again, validation is a method that I use for communicating with people. And we do that. So we're hoping we'll also open some workshops so we get enough people who will be interested, that people can learn validation, so learn how to communicate with people who are living with dementia.
Fantastic. I learned that a long time ago when I was working with people with dementia, and it's really powerful. Someone wrote here, will the Zoom be recorded? I assume she's talking about your webinars. Will you be recording it?
The webinar we record, and then if you need to sign up for it, we send it out only to the participants.
Okay.
So if you sign up and you can't make it to my webinar, then you'll get the link to it for about a week afterwards.
Okay, and people get to that from your website, right?
That's on my website, but maybe she's talking about this one, that this one's also recorded.
Correct. This is going to be right here in the Facebook group. The replay will be in the Facebook group. If you want the Zoom link from me, just email me and I'll send you the Zoom link, which we'll have afterwards. But the replay of this is going to stay in this Facebook group. So you can watch it over and over. You can share it with people. Yeah.
The other thing, if somebody's interested, is I also, one of the things I did during COVID, where I couldn't go into senior facilities to teach and I had to close my clinic, is I ended up realizing that the people who have the hardest job are the family caregivers, because they're suddenly thrown into the situation without any kind of training that at least people who are professionals do get. And I felt the need to help them. So I wrote an ebook, which you can purchase on the site, which is just I really tried to find the 3 main points, including that point that we learned today, that people can learn how to work on themselves to calm themselves. As caregivers, we talked about being able to calm themselves, because we want the caregiver to stay healthy so that they can take care of their family members. And it includes, it's the ebook, and it includes videos to show how you work on yourself, how you work on others, and how you work on somebody who has dementia. It has a little bit of validation in there too, a little bit, but it's the whole idea is I tried to make it as easy and short as possible, because people who are caregivers don't have time.
Okay, so where's that ebook? Tell us where the ebook is.
What?
Tell us where that ebook is.
The ebook is also on my site. If you go to my site, you'll see the ebook there. So you can download, you can purchase that, and it includes all the videos, and it includes a closed Facebook page so people can talk about and ask their questions if they need support.
Fantastic. You are doing such amazing work.
I must say, what's amazing is, this is one of the things where you end up, where so much closed down on me, and it ended up creating all these other things. So,
wow.
I wish we didn't have COVID, but in this case, it actually helped me start a whole new journey, which I hope will be able to help other people.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. You're doing amazing, amazing work. And I put Oran. No, I'm not pronouncing your name right. I keep saying Oran. It's like light, Oran. I put her website link right in the chat in the comments.
I can add more later if you want.
We could put it again also. And this is fascinating. You have so much to offer, both people with dementia, the caregivers, even professionals with the validation therapy that you're teaching. This is really needed, and it's really helpful. We talked about, what was it, a year ago that we talked on the phone, or more? I think it was more than a year ago.
I think even less, when you were, I asked you, how do I start it? You helped me to build my, how to do my site.
And we talked, and we both, it was like middle
starting from zero, things that we haven't done. I mean, the amount of things I had to learn this year, how to edit films, how to build a site.
Tell me about it.
You're ahead. Look at this. You're doing Zooms and lives, which I haven't tried.
When I started my Facebook group, 2 years ago, I was not even on Facebook. And now we have 900 people in this Facebook group, which is amazing.
And it's so good for our brain too, because we're having to
exactly. We're learning new things. We're using our brain. We're stimulating our brain. And that's what it is all about. I want to just mention my membership program for any of you that don't know what it is for 1 minute. And then we'll take any last questions. So I have a 3-month membership called Remembership. It is automated, which means you do it whenever you want. So whenever you join, you get one video. You immediately get a video and a brain exercise. And then a week later, you get another video and another brain exercise. And you can do it whenever you want. And it's short. These are like 6 or 7 or 8 minute videos, all different types of memory tips, explaining how memory works, foods that are good for the memory, how to help focus and concentration. And once a month, we have a live group coaching call. So there is a live piece of it, and that's the time for you to hop on with other members and ask me questions about the videos. We even do more brain exercises on those calls. So it's really fun. I'm going to put the link to the page on my website that talks all about membership. what I love about it is that it's flexible. You can start anytime. And if you don't have this week to look at the video, you have it next week. You have lifetime access to all 12 videos. So if you don't have time now, you do it next week or in 2 weeks. But it's helpful, fun, informative, and thank God I'm getting really, really good feedback. So I'm going to keep launching that. So I will put the link to a membership in the chat here for anyone who wants to read more about it. If you have any questions, email me. And most of you know how to reach me, I think, at this point. Rena@renayudkowski.com. But I'm going to put the membership page in the chat, in the Facebook page. I'm also just going to go back to Facebook and see if we have any more questions. Let's see. It says, that was fascinating, very informative. Thank you, Rena and Oran. Okay, that was Lisa. Hi, Lisa. I'm so glad. Lisa also works with older people. Thank you. I live in Canada. I'm happy that Rena's part of my life. Oh, Rosalind, I love you. You're the best. Bonnie says, I could not get here until now, so this will be available later on the site. Yeah, Bonnie, whatever you missed, as soon as it's over, if the replay is going to be right here in the group, you can just go watch it over and over again. Any other questions? I'm going to give you one more minute while I type this in. renayudkowski.com/remembership. Okay, I'm putting that in there. Okay, so I think we're good. I think this was really helpful. I learned something new. I think it's super interesting. I really appreciate your time and your expertise. And I want to wish you a lot of luck. On your website's beautiful, and I have to go now look at your ebook. I didn't get to read your ebook yet. I need to read that. So I really appreciate everything you're doing, and I really appreciate that you took the time to be with us here today. And feel free to post in the group about your upcoming webinars. We'd like to see that.
Okay, with pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Good night. Good day. Good night, everyone, depending where you are. Everyone should be healthy and have a good day, a good night. If you have any questions for either of us, we're on Facebook. Well, you can email us. You can get to us through our websites. Thank you, everyone. Take good care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.